Now, America Decides is right here on election headquarters. Now, over 76 million early voters have cast their votes. Former President Donald Trump has been critical of early voting as his campaign and the Republican Party have been pushing for voters to cast early ballots. Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign has also pushed for Democratic voters to utilize early voting more aggressively, seen as a tactic to help gain votes ahead of the election day. Now, Joy News, your election headquarters, is on ground and will bring you live coverage from the midnight of November 6th. Now, our senior news editor and head of political desk, Evans Mensah, joins me in studio to give us an update on what to expect. Now, we have been covering the U.S. elections for some time now. In fact, you were in the U.S.
You remember that?
Of course I do.
Where were you?
I wasn't 18. I was a bit older.
Oh
so of course
God,
I have the
updates.
updates.
2016.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you would remember, but that's...
Of course I do.
Yeah.
But now more than ever, tell us why we as Ghanaians must be interested in the electoral process of the U.S.
You know, they say when the U.S. coughs, everybody else will catch the cold, especially Ghana, because our trading relations with the U.S. is very significant indeed. And the choices that the Americans will be making will affect us here, although we don't have a vote in the matter. But it will affect it. It will affect trading relations. It will affect immigration. It's very, very important. Geopolitics that has implications on us. Remember, this government, when the economic crisis hit, had said Ukraine was primarily part of the reason why our economy tanked. And if you have a Trump in the White House, it has a different impact on the Ukraine scenario than if you have a Harris, for example, there. And so those are choices that will affect us. When I talk about trade, for example, Trump had said he's going to impose 20% tariff on all imports into the U.S. That will affect us too. 60% on China, of course. So the Chinese, maybe, because it's going to be costing a bit more to export to the U.S., may look to Africa. So it may have an impact on us too. If it's costing us 20% more to export, you can imagine that for those Ghanaian producers, manufacturing a sector that export to the U.S., it will cost them more to export to the U.S. And then you have the big old elephant in the room, which is immigration. You need to ask yourself, and the Trump and then the Harris, which of these two leaders will be more favorable and more lenient towards the many Ghanaians who are part of some 12 million illegal immigrants in the U.S.
Okay.
And the Trump, we know a lot of them will be deported.
Okay.
And the Harris, it may be more lenient. So those are very important.
Do we have any similarities at all in their elections and ours? Do we have any similarities at all?
I mean, first past the post is one, but there's a huge dissimilarity there when it comes to the electoral college votes, because there is not the popular votes that wins you the elections, the electoral college votes that wins you the elections. One of the things we'll be doing at 12 is to explain to you how you can actually win more votes and still lose elections. And we'll be doing that. That is as close as it gets in terms of similarity when it comes to first past the post. Once you get the more electoral college votes, you win the elections. Here, you simply need one more vote than the other guy to win. And we know their campaigns is very, very similar to how vitriolic it's been. It's been very vitriolic. We've seen the likes of Donald Trump and his team attacking Harris quite hard on this. That is, in essence, something that has been very common to us. But we've seen that our democracy, our elections have improved over there over the period, right? Yes. They had post-election violence. People died after the 2020 elections. This year, we had some violence to be reported in the U.S. too.
I know that you have given us at least an idea of what's going to be happening here, but what really would be happening midnight of 6th?
So you want to join us at midnight, 12 to be very precise. We start, why 12? Because we're anticipating that at 12, the first polls will be closing around New York, New Jersey. And so when we start around 2 a.m. thereabout, we should be getting the first idea about what is happening in these states. Some of the battleground states will also hopefully would have closed to, will be closing just around 3, 2 thereabout. That will give you a sense of what may be happening too. Okay. So that is why we are starting at 12. You want to join us at the time, because then we'll be, first of all, laying out the foundation for you. But most importantly, we start at 12, we take a break at 3, and we come back at 6 a.m. Because between that period, 6 to 9, we'll have some clarity.
I'll have your coffee on standby. Yes. Thank you, Evans. This is your election headquarters. Welcome back. Now, our lead data and research analyst is here at Joy News. Isaac Kofi has been monitoring the trends and is here with the figures. If there's anybody to fear, it's Kofi. Kofi, please,
oh, really?
Give me an update, yes.
Well, America will actually decide on Joy News, and just like Evan said, there are a lot of similarities that we'll be looking at. But on the screens right now is this big number. In Ghana, we focus on getting 50% plus one of the popular vote. It's not the same in America, just like Evan put it. We are looking at the 270 plus one, what we call the electoral vote in America. So to become the president of America, you need to get more than 270 of that electoral vote, what they call the 338, electoral areas. But we'll be going to the touch screen right now to tell you the early vote and the mail-in vote, what has been the trend so far, what is the category of the number of people who have actually voted so far. You put it right. 76 million people have actually voted currently. So let's go to the touch screen and see what we have on there right now. So this is actually your, what we have currently in terms of the early votes coming in so far. This is filtered according to the party registration. So in blue, you have the Democrats, and in red, you have the Republicans. What you have in gray is that there's no data available. So what we can report currently is that those who have actually cast the vote in terms of the more than 76 million people, 41% of them, there's enough data to prove that they are actually registered Democrats. 39% are actually Republicans. If you go into this and look at it according to the states, now, if you look at it in this way, let's switch to the battlegrounds and filter it this way. There are about 4 battlegrounds that we're actually looking at the moment. If you go to a place like Pennsylvania, you see that those who have actually registered are somewhat Republicans, or voted at the moment are Republicans. Now let's filter again by age and see how that also pans out. What we did first was according to your registered party. Yes. By age. Let's look at those who have registered so far. So 40% of the 76 million people who have actually voted so far are actually those who are 65 or older. It means that those who are actually the aged are voting early, which is also good. Now, if you look at about, let's say, 27% of them are between the ages of 50 and, 64. 13% are between the ages of 40 and 49. So it means that the oldies are actually voting now. Early. But the big challenge is getting those who are between the ages of 18 to 29, 30 to 39, basically the youth, to get out from the couch and go and vote. If you look at the numbers, that is not looking good so far at the moment. Let's filter according to gender. This is what for me is important, because for the first time we are having on the ballot
a woman.
A woman, I mean. We had Hillary Clinton in somewhere around that time. She also came in. But if you look at this year, the reason why Harris is important is because of the dynamics surrounding her coming in, to replace Joe Biden. Now, if you filter according to gender, 53% of those who are actually voted now are women. Just 44% are men, and there's also other data for us to look at the moment.
Thank you, Kofi. Kofi will bring you more on that on Joy News Prime later today. Thank you for joining us.